experiencing those hopefully by this age, intimacy and relationships. But before we get right into it, Anna, do me a favor and do my audience a favor. Introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and where my guest can find you.
Okay, thank you very much. So my name is Anna Thellmann from Thellmann Consulting. I have my own business here in China. For the last 2 years, I've been a CEO and a sexual intimacy coach. I've been working when I lived in England as a coach already, but I had the great opportunity to build my business while here in China. And I help women and men to have a more fulfilled sexual and intimate relationship with themselves and also with their partner. Because sometimes when we hear sexual intimacy, we think about sex and we think it's just about our partner and me, but it's not. It's also the relationship that you have with your body. So I help men and women to get deeper into that and to start loving, not loving, accepting themselves for who they are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I am also the #1 emotional health specialist here in Shenyang for the expert community. So I work with the hospitals, the local hospitals here. When there is an emotional emergency with one of the experts, they call me and then I go in and I support as best as I can. I've been coaching for over 8 years now. I'm still loving it. I have had to grow into the CEO role, which is an ongoing thing, but the coaching has always been, I think it's in my blood. I was born for it, and I'm just learning more and more about people, about how I can help them and how our mind works and how much our mind is actually affecting our lives, which we tend to forget, particularly when it comes to sexual intimacy. We think, oh, that's just the body. So no, it's so much starting here.
So take us from the genesis of this. How did you get involved in helping others, as your background states, get their orgasm back? How did you get involved in this?
Well, it started with my own limiting belief. And I had that limiting belief that when I masturbate, I need to have this big, amazing fantasy, and it has to become bigger and bolder every time. And when I'm in it, and then the washing needs to be done, it was like, oh my God, I'm losing my fantasy. My body was tensioning up. It was hard work. And it was also preparation work. Like, what fantasy am I choosing? How will it go? And so before even starting to masturbate, it was this feeling in my body of cramping, tension. And after I had my orgasm, which was like, I need to get my orgasm, it was this, I need to do this like a chore, like I need to end this task, or I need to fulfill this task. It was more like that. And when I had the orgasm, it was like, I was more released from the cramping, from the tension, that was gone, instead of just feeling my body tingling and having that release. And I thought it was this typical, you have a shower, you come out of the shower and think, wow, all of these tools that I use with my clients in every part of their lives, they're working so brilliantly. Why wouldn't they work in the bedroom? Why wouldn't they work for me? So I went down to business. I used the tools that I thought were the right ones for me for this situation. And I quieted my mind. I just focused on my body. I focused on the tensions that I experienced when masturbating, when pleasuring myself. And there was no cramping, there was no tension. And I had an orgasm from toes to ear all the way through. And it was amazing. And I hadn't had such an amazing orgasm during masturbation for a long time. And it was the moment where I thought, this needs to be shared. People need to know that it can be that easy to have pleasurable sexual activities, pleasurable orgasms, without the big fantasy, without the big actions, just simply by focusing on the body.
Is that one of the reasons why we should engage in that type of self-pleasure, because it gives us an opportunity to learn about our bodies, learn the type of touch that we want, and it allows us to better understand our bodies. So if we are looking to pleasure or make pleasure with our partner, we understand ourselves and what we like and what we don't like a lot better.
Yes, definitely. So masturbation has many benefits. Of course, you get to know your body, you know what do you like, how does it feel. But even though you know what you like for a woman, as a woman, we forget that we have our vagina is about 10 centimeters. It's just an area of pleasure, all of it, even inside of it. And we don't know that because no one ever told us, like, if you do this, if you do that, if you, so many ideas that there are that you can do, so many things you can do with that area of pleasure. And when you explore all of that, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you then tell your partner, hey, you put a little more pressure on that side, or if you put your finger like that, if you do this with your finger or that, whatever it is, it gives you so much more pleasure, and it will also be good for your partner because now he can see, oh, if I do this, that's her reaction. How amazing am I to give her that pleasure? So it's beneficial for both. And particularly for men, of course, I'm not a man, so I can't speak for myself in this perspective. But for men, if they masturbate, it's very, very healthy. So my recommendation would be masturbate 21 times a month because it risks the chances of cancer, of prostata cancer. It risks the chances of erectile dysfunctions. It helps you last longer. But masturbation, amazing for the body and for the soul, for men and women.
When you said 21 times a month, I almost had a heart attack because I'm thinking, what? That's was to me, that's it seems like a lot, right? I'm trying to get it down to zero, but but it definitely does seem like a lot on the surface level. But when you highlight it and you mention, hey, this is an opportunity for you to learn about your body, for you to understand your body. If I'm taking it from a male's perspective and I'm looking to masturbate, to pleasure myself, am I doing it myself without, let's say, pornographic material and things like that? Like, is it more so I have to get myself in the right place of mind and then do it? Or do you recommend that I should be watching those types of movies and accessories to get myself in the mood and then continue forward with the self-pleasure?
Well, that really depends because sometimes I think particularly this younger generation, they are so used to use porn that it's hard for them to then bring up their own fantasies. So when you see this porn, how these people in porn react, you also assume that this is how you need to do sex. This is how it has to happen. This is what you do with your partner. So you create this fantasy, this illusion of how intimacy looks like. And the other thing is also when you masturbate, a guy told me this, he was masturbating to pornography and he did it in secret. So it was always this, I have to do it quick, I have to come quickly. That means you train yourself to come quickly. You train yourself, like I did train my body to get into that tension. So you train yourself to be also tense and have this anxiety maybe inside you while you masturbate. And that's how your sex life then probably turns out because you just train yourself to do it that way. You think that is, or your body thinks, well, this is the way we need to do it. So when I have sex with my partner, oh yeah, anxiety. Oh, I need to be quick. No one can see me. So I would suggest not to use pornography. Maybe use it to get in the mood, but while you masturbate, turn it off, turn it around, look away, and just focus on the sensations of your body. Because the penis, it's such a sensitive organ, such a sensitive muscle. You have so many feelings on there. So just experience what that feels and how good it is, because you can then also know and get to know your body and say to your partner, if she helps you, gives you a hand job, you can say, well, if you do it that way, much, much better for me. Then it makes me feel like this. So my recommendation would be get porn as if you need it to get into the fantasy, but to actually for the masturbation, so don't use it.
And that's a good point that you raised, because sometimes when I'm in the mood and if I'm intimate with my partner, it's always a state of mind. Yeah, the porn and things like that, it's a great fantasy, right? But sometimes we can confuse that with reality. Like how many outfits are you going to ask your woman to get and dress up in, right? But I think if we can learn to understand ourselves and just say, hey, I want to get myself in the mood. And as you mentioned, that area is so sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Feels so good, right? You can say, hey, Anna, if you do this technique, I like it a lot better than this one. If you move your hand this way, or if you come to me and you say, Terrain, if you put your fingers here, you apply pressure here, you look at me this way, you touch me this way. How important is the communication aspect when you're sharing these intimate moments, Anna?
It's very important. But most importantly about that communication is that you keep an open mind and don't take it personally. So just because your partner tells you to do something different doesn't mean that it's wrong what you're doing. It just means that if you do that, it's even better. And I think it also depends. There is a saying in Germany that the tone makes the music. So how you then bring that across, in what kind of tone, kind of voice you talk to your partner about it. And don't be harsh and say, that's shit what you're doing. Excuse my language. That doesn't help you, that doesn't help your partner. But if you say, I like it when you do that, and when you put more pressure from on top, that's even better. And your partner will be willing to do that and even more.
Especially when they see the reaction. And I think that is so important, right? Like when you see that the person is giving you the body language that they're really, really enjoying this, it could offset maybe some of the shame that we may experience in communicating this, right? If we say that, can you do this? You're not as hesitant because the partner or even yourself, you're giving yourself such positive feedback. Is that something that we can work on when we're communicating to give the positive reassurance that, hey, Anna, I like this. You're doing a good job. Keep doing more of this. Does that work?
Of course. I mean, what better feedback can you get when I say, this is amazing what you're doing. Keep doing it. But on the other hand, I understand that many of us shy back from that. We shy back from expressing positive feedback, from expressing negative feedback, because we don't want to hurt the other person. And with the positive feedback, it's this vicious cycle that we think, well, if I tell him that I like this, he might not does the other anymore. So he might not do a different technique or a different position anymore. But then it comes back to communication to say, okay, let's change positions. Let's try this. Let's try the other. Just be open about it.
That was something that I had to learn, not necessarily to communicate with my partner. It was just in my mind, I didn't want to come across as like I was demanding a certain type of position in the bedroom. So I had to work on asking in a nice way, because you can't just say, hey, Anna, turn around. Be like, treat me like a lady first, right? Buy me dinner first. So, but you want to communicate it in a way that is positive, because I think many of us suffer from so many negative thoughts when it comes to the bedroom, especially before the actual act. Or I feel a little bloated today. I'm a little fat. I'm not this. And then the men may have, let's say, the performance anxiety. What if I'm not big enough? What if I can't pleasure? What if she had someone better? Do you work with men and women to overcome some of these maybe limiting beliefs that they may have before they enter the bedroom and get intimate with their partner?
Yes, 100% of my clients have exactly one of those limiting beliefs, that it's their body, it's who they are. And that's why they don't have an orgasm, because my program is called Get Your Orgasm Back, and they don't have an orgasm because of a limiting belief about themselves. It's usually covered with a lot of self-shame, a lot of self-blame, a lot of insecurity, a lot of anxiety about what does the other person think. And interestingly, so many of us, we think that we are mind readers. We think that we know what the other person thinks. And that scares us. And overcoming that boundary to overstep and say, what do you actually think? That's so hard for most of us, for many of us. So I help them to do that step, to find out what is it that you actually want. Because sometimes we think we want something because someone told us, society told us, or I heard this, my parents said I should be like that. So we think we need to think a particular way. We think we need to want particular things, but in the bedroom with the pornography, we think that's what we want, to just bang around and yeah, now I'm happy. Because we don't know that if we really feel the body of our partner, if we take the time to explore the body and they take the time to explore our, we don't know how much pleasure that can give us, but we think this is the way to do it.
For those who are following on my Facebook and YouTube page, please stay tuned for more incredible interviews like the one we have with my new best friend, Anna. And we will be back for more. So stay tuned.